everyone, welcome back. We are in Module 2. We are in Topic 2. We are on Lesson 2, and we are at the introductory activity. Okay, so in class, the first thing that I'm going to have kids do who are in class is to define benchmark percents, either in the glossary or from page 273. You can see it there, but I just want kids to kind of look it up and write it. I want you to put it right here. So a benchmark percent is a percent that is commonly used such as 1%, 5%, 10%, 25%, 50%, and 100%. So those are the percents that we generally work with, and we're calling them the benchmark percents. So this lesson's entitled Warming the Bench, Using Estimation and Benchmark Percents. Learning goals, ordering fractions, decimals, and percents. We're going to use benchmark percents to calculate common percents of quantities, and we'll estimate percents using benchmarks. So our review here, just to get us started, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and do kind of each side independently. Okay, so it says compute each product. I'm going to do 1 and 3, and then I'll go over to the other side and do 2 and 4. So if we do 1/10 times 350, remember that 350 has a 1 underneath it. We just multiply straight across, which gives us 350 divided by 10. Remember, when we divide by 10, we are getting 10 times smaller. So 10 times smaller than 350 is going to be 35. Just to word this differently, if we think about the decimal is here, dividing by 10 means the decimal is now placed here. A lot of people say the decimal moves. It really doesn't. The place value is changing. I do want to show you it with a calculator here. Okay, so if we have this where there's not a glare, 350 divided by 10, we get 35. Okay, so what then about 1/10 times 670? So 1/10 of 670. Let's try to get this in focus. Again, there's a 1 here, so multiplying straight across, we get 670 over 10. That's just a division problem again. So 670 divided by 10 is going to be 67. Again, decimal points here. You divide by 10, we're moving the decimal point 1 to the left. We end up with 67. I can show you that one here. 670 divided by 10 is 67. Okay, moving on. 1/10 times 350. So again, multiplying straight across, we end up with 350 over 100, which is just 350 divided by 100. So this time it's going to get 100 times smaller. So that means our decimal point is going to now be between the 3 and the 5. So our answer is 3 5/10. Let me show you this one. $350 divided by 100 is 3.5. Okay, so then 100 times 670, or 1/100th of 670. So we'll have 670 over 100, which is a division. So 670 divided by 100. Remember, if you're entering it in a calculator, the numerator gets entered first, then divide, so kind of this format here, and then the equal sign in the calculator. So it's getting 100 times smaller, which means our decimal, which is here, is now, remember when we're dividing by 100, we're moving 2 places to the left. So our answer is going to be 6 7/10. Here we had 3 5/10, 35 67. Okay, turning the page. Okay, so in class, we are going to be doing a partner or small group activity where we're going to be putting some percents, fractions, and decimals in order from smallest to greatest. That is something that gets handed out in class. It's not in the book, so we're going to kind of talk about this part of it right here. These numbers are part of the lesson, so we're going to address number 2 here. 1 says, as a class, order the set of numbers from least to greatest. And we're going to talk about the different strategies that people use. So we're going to move on to number 2. Noah and Dylan were assigned the numbers 6/100ths, and it's repeating, and 0.1%, but they disagreed on which was larger. Noah says that the 6/100ths repeating is less than 1/10. So 6/100ths repeating is less than 0.1%. Dylan says since 0.1% is the same as 1/1000th, and 1/1000th is less than 6/100ths, then the 1%, 0.1% is less than 6/100ths. Who is correct? So we really need to figure out which value is worth what amount. Let's try to, I guess we'll zoom this out and see if you can see this. Okay, so we have 0.06 repeating. So that's not in a percent form, it's just a number. Then we have 0.1%, so 0.1%. So remember our rules that we've been talking about. When we're going from percent to a decimal, we are going to, so percent to decimal, we divide by 100, right? Or, as we just did on the previous page, we move the decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, so then this 0.1%, right now the decimal point is here. So dividing by 100, 1, 2, puts it here, and it becomes 1/1000th. So if we think about this, let's kind of pause for a second and think about, let's say 80%. We know that we can express that as 80 over 100, right? Or maybe, let's see. Maybe you got 82.5 out of 100 on a test. You got 82 questions right, and I gave you half a point for another one. 82.5 out of 100 is 82.5%. So if this 1/110% were to be expressed as a decimal, I need to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So it becomes this. You don't really have to write this down. This is just kind of helping your thought process go along. Okay, so 0.1% is really 1/1000th. This is 6/100ths, which is smaller, which is bigger. Okay, it says, Noah says the 6/100ths is less than the 1/10th. So 6/100ths is less than 0.1%. Dylan says no, since 0.1% is the same as 1/1000th, and 1/1000th is less than 600ths. 0.1% is less than 600ths. So Dylan is correct. What did Noah do wrong? Noah didn't consider the percent sign. Noah did not consider the percent sign. So 1/10 and 0.1% are different. Okay, 0.1% is actually this. Okay, moving on. So now number 3 says we're going to order the numbers from least to greatest. So I think what I'm going to do first is put them all in a decimal format so that I can then compare them a little bit easier. So I'm just going to kind of draw a little line here. I'm going to just kind of make some columns here, just to try to keep my work organized. Okay, so 0 is obviously 0. 99 hundredths is already in a decimal form. 1/9. So how much is 1/9 as a decimal? Well, it's close to 1/10. 1/10 would be a 0.1. 1/9 is going to be a bit larger. Some of you might think it's smaller because 9 is smaller than 10. But if you think about like a pie cut into 9 pieces and a pie cut into 10 pieces, which one's going to give you a larger slice? It would be the 1/9. So let's figure out what the value of 1/9 is. So we do 1 divided by 9, and it is a 0.1 repeating. So I'm going to rate it as 0.11 repeating. 17/20ths. So we can scale that up to 100. That would be a times 5. 17 times 5 is going to be 85. We can confirm that 17 divided by 20 is 0.85. This is 85 hundredths. And when we do the division on the calculator, we get 85 hundredths. 95%. So to rate a percent as a decimal point moves 2 places to the left. I have 0.95. 25% is going to be 0.25. 3/8. This is one that we have been doing forever. It seems to come up in every single class since we've started this unit. 0.375. Most classes I'm finding have that memorized. Let's just verify it. 3 divided by 8, 0.375. 70% is a 0.70. 4 and 0.3%. So right now the decimal point is here in between the 4 and the 3. We're going to shift it over 1, 2. So it'll be 0.43. This one's already in a decimal form, and so is this. I tend to not put the leading zeros. It's okay, either way. All right, least to greatest. So obviously the least is going to be 0. I'm going to kind of just make this a little bit darker down here, just so we know that there's a separation. And we're now moving on to a different part of this. We're now going to put these in order from smallest to greatest. So 0 is first. Okay, now remember, when we're comparing decimals, we're going to look at the place values. So the rest of them, they all have a whole number of 0. And then following that, in the tenths place, we have a 9, a 1, 8, 9, 2, 3, 7, a 0, an 8, and a 6. Okay, so that 0 right here is definitely what's next. So 0.043. Okay, so we did this one and this one. I remember reading a 1. Okay, so 0.11 repeating, which was 1/9 is how they listed it originally. They listed this one as 4.3% originally. Okay, so next, do we have any 2s in the 10ths place? We just did this one. Here's a 2 in the 10ths place. That's it. So 0.25, and it's 25%. And next, do we have any 3s in the 10ths place? That's an 8, 9. There's a 3, 7, 8. So we only have 1. So it's a 0.375, which is listed here as 3/8. So we did that one. Do we have a 4 in the 10ths place? We have a 9, a 9, a 7, an 8, and a 6. We don't. It sounds like 6 is the next. And it's listed just like that. Okay, I remember reading a 7. I don't see any other 7s, so let's see, 0.70, which was listed as 70%. I remember there being an 8. We have 0.85 and 0.81. The 0.81 is less than the 85, and that's how it's listed. The 0.85 would be next. It's shown as 17/20. And then we have this 0.99 and 0.95, which the 0.95 is less. And that's being showed as 95%. And then 0.99, and that's how it's shown as well. Okay, pause if you need to. Let me know if you have any questions.